Walter, it's me. I'm gonna make a quick video on something I've been working on the last day or so. I just now finished it, so I'm not sure if it works or it doesn't work or what, but it's been a task, I'll say that, for such a little thing. So I'm going to call this a prototype because don't look at the workmanship. It's kind of cobbed together a little bit crude, and the shop looks like a disaster right now. Can't believe this little dinky project has caused me this much mess. Anyway, so here it is. I drew up a drawing, and I think I sent it to you. Trying to figure out a way to make a tool holder that would hold a square tool bit, and also the tool bit would be behind the pivot point on the clapper box, or in the clapper. So that's what I've done. I don't know, if it's going to work, but I'm trying to make it work in conjunction with the last holder I made, and I'm not sure. I'm using a 5/16 high-speed steel tool bit, square tool bit, and I've cut it off to be about 1.25 inches long is all, and I'm using a 3/8 through thread, and that, and I used a piece of 1-inch rod to make the base of it. So that said, I'm going to show it to you, and hopefully this video is going to be pretty short. I'm gonna take a couple cuts. I think I set this thing to cut about 10 thousandths. So I did set that up before I started the video. So here it is, and so it is cutting, and so I'm not sure if it's cutting better or worse or whatever, but it's making a nice smooth cut, and the clapper's hardly moving, but that's because I'm not taking off much. So I'll make another pass, and maybe I'll have mud on my face here. I don't know. We'll back it up. Well, there we go. I'm just going to take off about 10 thousandths or so. See what happens. Not putting any oil on it, just a piece of 1018 mild steel. I don't think we need any oil on it. I don't know about this cutter, if it's sharp or not sharp. It's just one that I've been experimenting with around here. So you can see it's working. I decided not to weld it. There's no welds. They're all brazed because I just knew that the brazing was easier for me, and and I knew it would hold on the main section right here. So let me. I'm gonna just do this a couple seconds here, and then I'm gonna take it apart and show you what I did. So there we go. Well, that's it. So now what I plan to do, let me go check the camera. Let me turn the viewfinder around so I can see what I'm doing. Let me zoom out. Oh, what did I do? Hit the camera? I guess I hit the camera, or I zoomed, or something there. Something happened. Something bad happened here. Let me see. Well, let me get it zoomed in just a little bit so I can try to show you. All right. Hopefully you can see that. So my hands are in the picture. So I don't know let me see what I did with wrenches around here. Let's see. Maybe this is it. I'm going to loosen this, lift this up, take this out. So this is what I made. Okay, and all I did was, well, let me take it apart. Let's see. Don't know. Here's a wrench. Let me take this off here. Okay, loosen that. The tool bit slides out, so that it's just a short tool bit. So let me take this off. This was a little tricky, to say the least. So this is just a 3/8/16 nut that's from my milling clamping set. So this is like 3 or 4 parts. I guess it's 4 parts. So this part I turned up in the lathe. So this was just a piece of 1-inch rod. Drilled a 3/8 hole through it. And then while I was still in the lathe, I put a little 5/8 recess in it. And I ran a 5/16 milling cutter in mill across, just to make a little indentation for the tool bit to fit into, just to hold it so it doesn't move. So that's that. That's as simple as that. That took only a couple minutes to make that. That was very simple. And then I figured with this tool holder that I'd made before, I could fit a 5/16 by 400 thousandths. So this isn't a 1/2 inch, but it's 400 thousandths. I could fit that size rod into here with the washer on here. So all I did was I took this, let me zoom out a little bit. I took this and laid it flat on the welding table. I created a spacer to sit under it, and I clamped all this stuff down, and I just run a brazing bead across there, then turned it over and run a brazing bead across there. Kind of sloppy, but it's very strong. That holds really well. I don't see any problem with that. The biggest problem in building it was, and I haven't finished this, you can see, needs to go back in the lathe, or I don't have my grinder set up, but I need to grind out the little tit here where I parted that off. But this was the tricky part. This is 2 parts. I turned this up in the lathe. It was actually on a longer stem, but I turned it up in the lathe, put it in the mill, and cut this 5/16 slot into it. Okay? And I kind of had to calculate how deep to make it, but that said, then what I did was I turned up another piece of 3/8 rod in the lathe and put a thread on it, and I put a little niche at the bottom of this on each side so it would kind of sit in there. So I had to figure out some way to and I made sure that the front, this part was as flat as possible and this part was as flat as possible. So then I had to figure out some way to hold it while I brazed this little thing onto this piece, because that's the only way that I could create this hole through here. Okay, square hole. So what I did was I turned up another piece, and all it was just a piece of rod again with a 5/8 recess in it and a 3/8 hole through it, so it could just go on here like this. So that acted as something that would align and hold this stuff together. Then I have a old drill press vise. I I chucked this up in the drill press vise like that, except this was longer, had a couple inches more on it. And the only thing that kept it aligned was this piece that I made here, which was kind of sloppy. I could have made this a little bit tighter. And then I just clamped it up in the vise. And then I could slide this down out of my way so I could weld this here. So I just brazed this on here. Hopefully the flux pulled the braze down into the joint, because there's a slight little, about a 40,000th joint. That's all it is on each side. And then I let the brazing be a little bit heavy here. So there you go. That's all it was. But it did take some thinking, try to figure out some way to make it all work. So it just goes together. Now for some reason, I had a little trouble after I got it all done. I had to do a little filing on the slot, but not much. And I'm not sure exactly whether brazing got down in there or what. I couldn't see very well. But for some reason, this cutter only goes through here in one direction. Oh, yeah, this is the right direction right there. So that's that. And this goes on this nut. That's it. That's all there is to it. So that's the extent of the video. That's what I wanted to show you. And I don't know, maybe I could dress this up, make it all look a little better, but it seems to be functional right now. Hopefully this is, I had to figure, you know, the allowances in here, so this would clamp tight, but so it's a very small amount, but hopefully that's okay. And now I don't know what range this will work. I have no idea. I haven't like I say, I haven't experimented with it. But that goes in there, and I shove it all the way up tight against the clapper, and then tighten it down, and I'm off and running. Now, what I've been doing is I just try to turn this down someplace here. Well, guess what? No cigar. I got the I put this thing in here backwards like a dum-dum. Yeah. Mud on my face, as usual. Hopefully this will go back in there. Get that up under there where it goes. Tighten this up. Alright. Now let's run this back down here a little bit. Well, yeah, let's see if I can continue this. Well, this is I ran this cut out, so let's alright, so let's see if I can touch off here. Okay, I'm touched off. Let's run it down about 10 thousandths again. Let's see if we can get it cutting again. So there it goes. So that's all I wanted to show you. That I got a tool holder, and so maybe based on what you're telling me, possibly this won't have a tendency to dig in as much, considering the tool bit is back behind the pivot. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. Right now it's cutting very beautifully. I mean, I have no problem with it. The other thing that I started working on and haven't proceeded, actually, is I want to figure out a way to cut a square hole. And I started working on that little project here a few days ago, and then I quit. I got a bag full of stuff here. Hang on a minute. Let's see. So I got this old clapper that I made out of cast iron originally that broke. And so what I did was, you can't see where it broke. There's a hairline right here someplace where it broke. But what I did was I cut a V-groove in there in the brake. And I don't know if you can see that, but I cut a V-groove in the brake. And I brazed it together. So that fixed it. And then the slot, the spring slot back here, I cut a V-groove in there and filled that full of braze too. So that way there's no spring to it, but it won't break again, I don't think. So that's why it broke. And the other reason it probably shouldn't have been made out of cast iron. So anyway, so this was going to be an experiment. I have a 5/16 round hole in it right now, and what I wanted to do was make that hole square. So I was looking on the internet, and I found some people that make a commercial tool bit. They make actually 3 different styles to cut different kinds of holes. And so I thought, well, you know, I just take a piece of HSS and I can make the same thing. So what I did is I made up a tool bit that will cut a corner. Now so what I gotta do is, it's way too long right now because it's got too much spring in it. I actually tried it. But I gotta cut it off shorter so it'll reach through here. And what I gotta be able to do is figure out a way to index it 4 different places so I can cut the 4 corners and make this square. So that's what I'm thinking. And so I haven't worked on that anymore. I kind of gave up on it. So that's that. And not sure what this is. Oh, this is what I made to hold this tool. This is what I made here to hold this tool bit. And so that part's made. It does work. And this goes through the existing holder I have here. So I got that much done, but that's as far as I got on it. So that's where I'm at on that. So as far as I'm concerned, this project is kind of done unless I decide to do it again, make it a little neater job. But it is functional right now. So that's all I really care about. And it seems like that. Let me take this back out of here again. Seems like that this thing's gonna hold together. I was kind of worried about it. Ah, shoot, dropping nuts here. Can't even bend over these days. I was a little worried about this joint here, but I thought, you know, there's no shear against it. It's just the force of the nut pulling it. So I figured, you know, it doesn't take much to hold it. And I can see down in there right now, I'm just looking here, the light's shining right. I can see the brazing went down into the joint. So maybe I'm good. You know, maybe that'll hold. I don't know. We'll see. So I'll when I get my belt sander connected back up again. I got welding stuff all over the place right now, so I got to put that back on the welding table. But I'll get this cleaned up and maybe chamfer this edge a little bit so that looks better. But anyway, that's what I wanted to show you. So that's where I'm at, and I'll wrap this up now and post this video so you can see. Talk to you later. I'll call off now.